Let me give you a little backstory on it if I could.
Yeah.
2003, I received a phone call from the CEO of the bank that we're in a bank setting, so we're in Raymond James Fid, which is our institution. And I received a phone call from the CEO of the bank in Ada, where I had worked 15 years prior, I guess, as the CFO of the bank. And he wanted to talk to me because he needed a financial advisor, because the financial advisor that was in the bank had embezzled $2.5 million.
Wow.
So, of course, my first reaction was, I don't want to be in a bank. I told him that. And anyway, long story, we ended up there. He was looking for a clean name. And so we moved back to Ada. It was where we grew up. My wife was born and raised there, and I've been there for a long time. And so we went back, and it was a whole lot worse than what we thought. Anyway, so we worked through all that, and switched over to Raymond James in early part of 2004, and we've been there this time. All that to be said, we are, Cheryl and I both are bank employees. The bank actually has the arrangement, the agreement with Raymond James. So from that standpoint, I guess you could say the bank owns it. They have over the last, at least since 2015, included, I say they, meaning the director of the bank, has had it in their strategic plan, the statement addressing the brokerage area, and that they've said they either need to or consider either giving it, selling it, whatever. Okay, so what's been in there all this time? And I keep asking the question, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Because the only reason, in my opinion, being in the bank is that we get referrals from bank clients, which we get very few.
Right.
So what's the purpose? Other than they pay the bills, which is all fine and good. There's nothing wrong with that, but what's the purpose? And so we are at a stage, as far as the bank goes, the CEO of the bank, who is my direct report, I guess my boss, he is probably going to retire next year. Or so he says, or at least probably go part-time, whatever, And the heir apparent that's going to take over probably has less, in my opinion, less desire to make the brokerage area a viable deal. Okay, from a financial standpoint, we produce a little over $500,000 a year gross, so we're not huge by any means. 92% of it is recurring revenue, so that's a good deal.
Yeah.
And we've worked towards that over the last 7, 8 years to get that way, so that's a good thing. We have lost our biggest customer, which is perfectly fine because it was all bond purchases and everything. That's okay. So my deal is, what do we do? I have given proposals, but I was going to tell you about the financial side of it. The bank, according to their records, and what we get from accounting, and I get it from the accounting department every month that I include on the report that I give to the board, using their numbers, we're barely breaking even. Okay? And of course that's been brought up a few times, and my response is, well, those are your numbers. Quite honestly, I don't care as long as Cheryl's taking care of it, I'm taking care of it, because we're doing what we do and we're providing service to our clients. And I guess we're being compensated well, I don't know, I assume we are. So our biggest hot topic or pain is what we do. I've given a proposal, latest proposal I gave to the CEO of the bank. I'll tell you what it was, kind of like laid it out and said, okay, this is what I'll do. I've given you proposals that says, let's just kick us out, and you're going to make money by getting rid of us, because you won't have the overhead and all the business. And the latest proposal I gave him I said, okay, that's what we'll give you $2,000 a month for 2 years. That way they'll get some revenue stream,
Yeah.
a little bit. And at the end of those 2 years, we'll do a revenue share, 10%, 15% revenue share of whatever direct referrals the bank gives us. But they're not giving us anything else, so that's gonna be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, and he's not spoken with me since I gave it to him, so, I don't know.
And how long ago was that?
About a month ago.
I'd say 6 weeks.
Okay, 6 weeks, almost
So Russ, are they your clients or the bank's clients?
I would say that they're the bank clients,
Okay,
because they have the agreement with, Raymond James has the agreement with them.
okay. So you wouldn't take the clients with you?
If I were to buy it, or they kicked us out, or just discontinue the deal, yeah, because what's gonna happen to them?
Okay.
I would work out some sort of a deal where they go with me.
Okay,
He can't just leave and take the
I just
client.
can't leave and take.
Of course.
The bank owns the client.
Right.
Legally.
I do not.
but it would make sense for you to take them with you?
Oh, yeah, and
Right.
that's, you know,
Okay.
I don't want to start all over,
Yeah,
because
right.
I've become accustomed to.
Absolutely.
And so I don't want to start all over.
Yeah,
And I don't want Cheryl to have to go through what I'll pay her for until we start making money, so,
okay.
Russ, what do you want to do? I mean, do you want to stay in the bank environment? Is that something you really thrive on? Or is that just because you've kind of gone down that path for so many years, that's what you used to, but maybe you want to go a different direction? Maybe it's an opportunity.
Okay, good question, Tom. What do I want to do? I want out, okay? Because the banks, and I guess I was talking to you guys, to Phil about it, that, the bank does not have a sales culture. Okay?
I heard you say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
They do not have a sales culture. Every Tuesday morning, they have what they call an officer call meeting at 8 o'clock, and I have to go because I'm, by title, a senior vice president of the bank, so that doesn't mean anything. And you go around the room, okay, Greg, how many calls, what call, you know, tell us about the calls you made. I have nothing, I have nothing, I have nothing, I have nothing, I have nothing. You know, kind of, what the crap are we doing today? You know? I mean, and so, I mean, it's just, you know, and so when they come to me, I'm gonna say, no, I'm not gonna tell you what I'm doing either.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
forget this crap, why do I bother even showing up if you're hurting my copies these days? You know?
What happens when you just don't go?
Good question.
Probably nothing.
Probably nothing.
We're not part of their bonus plan, so that's
Yeah,
the reason
yeah.
why they go.
No consequences.
Well, and it is, it's part of their bonus structure that they have to make X amount of calls and all this other business.
Doesn't
I'm
apply.
kinda like, I don't see how you're doing that, because you don't have to say you're getting it.
Yeah,
Anyway, it's part of their bonus structure and everything like that, we're not a part of that.
okay.
And I've set it up where we're on our own deal and everything,
Sure.
so I don't care if they reach their objectives or not.
So let me ask this question.
Don't ask
If you go
questions.
from the bank FID department, I'm not sure how this works in Raymond James,
Okay.
to the independent, is that repapering?
No, I don't believe so, it should not be. The part of our.
Anybody know
is,
that?
And they know that, I don't know, I have talked to others who have, and they have the option, they can stay in the FID division. And because they're accustomed to working with those folks, you know, the ones that are in our regional support and all of everything, or not, so we go with what.
Yeah, because I was just gonna say, if it had to get repapered
It
anyway,
does.
you know, then I would even, if you push the issue with them and, you know, and they didn't make a decision to sell, you know, one of the solutions is just go to another broker dealer, take all the clients with you, if you had to repaper them anyway. Now, obviously, if you don't have to repaper them, that's where you don't want to.
You know, ideally, it'd be, we just, they tell us we're done, and we go across the street, and, you know, crap, I can do everything on my iPad.
Yeah.
Since FID is under PCG at Raymond James, I'm pretty sure it's just it's like,
It would make
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
It's logically,
it's like
it
flipping,
should
it's like flipping a
branch.
switch from one thing to the
Yeah.
other branch.
It should be, yeah, but.
I don't think that has anything to do with that now, as far as setting up the, you all talk about the business structure and all that kind of stuff. We've not done any of that, we don't have our own checking account, we don't, none of that stuff. so we don't have our own payroll.
But you have no control over what you pay either, because they still allocate money to you for whatever, rental and stuff.
Yeah, we can do an allocation, I guess, that comes out on the financial bill or whatever, and again, quite honestly, I don't care what the numbers say.
Maybe one
It
should.
makes me no difference as long as we're taking care of our clients. Cheryl's being taken care of, and I'm being taken care of. I don't care what the numbers say. So,
When you said that you presented that offer 6 weeks ago, whatever it is, you haven't heard anything, have you followed up? Have you tried to get a meeting on the calendar, and is it just radio silence, or what is it?
yeah.
He
And-
made one comment, said that he got an email. That's all he said.
Yeah, so it's just no response. And the CEO of the bank is a good guy and all. He,
Board member.
yeah. And he's, and all he has in the past, he has over the last 6 weeks, will come into the office and sit down and here goes 3 hours. He's gonna waste 3 hours just chatting about everything in the world and what have you, and, you know, like, okay, Jim, don't you have something else to do? You know, how do you tell him to leave?
Every time he comes in, why don't you just start talking about
The buyout.
your email and what the bank's looking for,
That's
and
just it. We did, and I told Cheryl this, and I said it yesterday, I guess, we either need to decide we're gonna either get happy where we are or get out. You know, and I don't know if we're gonna get happy, but I think it's, I say toxic environment, that's not really right. There's just no,
What's the deal with the clients that are owned by the bank now? Is there a formal written agreement to that effect, or?
there's a written agreement between Raymond James and the bank. Okay,
you got your OSJ agreement with Raymond James?
Yeah.
Okay, the bank has the same thing with Raymond James.
But would they support him moving and taking those clients? I mean, would that be a breach of the contract?
Yes,
It would be?
Yeah, it would be.
Unless they sold it to them.
Yeah,
unless there's an agreement from the bank,
Yeah.
Raymond James won't let that happen.
Well, if the bank's not making him hardly any revenue, I don't understand what the deal is.
agreed.
Why do they care if they're not getting
Well,
anything
and
out?
I think that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that fully, Tom. The only thing I can think of is that they can say, no, we've got a brokerage in the bank.
I kind of think they want to go wealth management.
Yeah, I think it's maybe that perception, and so maybe you should frame it where, let's look at this strategically and how we can make this a win for the bank and a win for us. And say, nothing's changing, but we're gonna do this independent so that this part can grow, and we're still affiliating with the bank, and you get, you know, just some marketing stuff around it, so the bank looks like it's still a big deal, and yada, 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 and they don't lose face that they're, you know, not doing well because they got rid of their wealth management division. So maybe it's a more of a marketing thing that you said, you know, here's how I'd like to do it, and here's how I'm gonna make you guys look good.
You guys, did you see
Yeah.
that?
Is Raymond James helping you leverage with this? Could they?
Their relationship with the bank.
I understand that. So have them talk to the bank.
Well, the answer to that question is no.
Okay.
That, they won't. However, I've spoken with those and they.
Is that Tim Kilgore? Who's the guy? Or is it?
Same master.
No, but who's the president of it?
Tim.
Yeah.
Tim Kilgore, yeah.
Is he aware of what you wanna do?
I don't know if Tim is or not. I've spoken with Sam. Sam and Matt Beltrader. So I've spoken with them, there are.
I would have Sam talk to Tim and just see if they can't somehow, I mean, what their thoughts are on
If you two were to just get up and leave, I'm not saying about eating and all the other things that they got. If you were to get up and leave, what would the bank do?
Well, I don't know what they would do, because they have no way of providing service, because they have nobody that's.
So what I'm saying is you have a leverage point,
Yeah.
and you're coming at this from the stance of, I want to eat. You said it 2 or 3 times, I know that's important. But but if you were to leave, like, listen, we want to buy this, we want this to take this off, you're not gonna do so, then we're gonna just go do
And
something
just give
else.
them a deadline.
And you don't have to necessarily like, double down on what you say with that, but at least you put it out there and know like, holy smokes, if these people leave, we've got this whole underserved section, we have no support people, we have no one to manage that book of business, so that you basically make it looking good, they have this value add to their clients. Now, oh my gosh, we got no one there, and this is gonna make us look really bad. So there's gotta be something in there in the way that you message it, in the way that you package it up to the bank saying, listen, this is what we want to do. I want you to take something from this. I want you to have some recurring revenue. I want you to value from this. However, it's not working, the relationship's not working for either of us. So we would like to buy it, and if not, we're just gonna go elsewhere, and we're gonna wish you the best of luck. You're gonna have a couple empty positions there, and that may create a lot of strain for you going forward.
Because I will tell you that clients will go with you, the vast majority of the
So
clients.
Cheryl.
You just tag along.
Obviously the face of it, I mean, come on.
Testament though, that this is the first time I've ever met you, Russ, but I caught you saying something earlier.
Uh-oh.
Well, no, it's good. So when you were talking about making sure you're taken care of, you said Cheryl first.
Yeah.
I wanna make sure Cheryl's taken care of, and I wanna make sure I'm taken care of. That's a testament to your character and who you are, and I would guarantee you treat your clients the same way. You make them feel important.
Yeah.
Your issue, I think one of your issues may be how the personalities within the CEO and president position of the bank and how they're gonna react to an ultimatum. You're gonna have to think that through before you make that.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is really,
It's an option,
complicated.
but I don't want you to feel like it's different, you're stuck. 'Cause you said
You're
how
gonna have to game out that
Yeah.
strategy.
Did I-
The ultimate, if you go that route, you know,
Very ready.
you've gotta be ready at the ultimate point to say, yeah, I'm out.
Did I hear-
Yeah, I mean, if you say it, you have to have your office space, ready to go and da-da-da-da-da, because, yeah, you don't wanna fake it. You want,
And you have to change BDs.
Which I don't want to do that.
yeah.
I mean, I don't want to go through that. Mitch, you want to say something?
I was just gonna say, I don't really have a thorough understanding of your business, but it certainly sounds to me like you are coming from a position of strength. But it feels helpless, maybe. I wouldn't underestimate that you've got a position of strength. They need you, it sounds like a lot more than you need that.
And part of too, and I wanna comment Joel. So Joel gave the example of the change or improve, the 51%, right? Putting this up against that will maybe give you some clarity, because even if you said in the beginning, I need to decide if I'm just in it or if I'm out, right? So maybe that exercise, and Joel, I think you're gonna say something too.
I was gonna say something different, because I don't understand all of that either.
Well, we don't either, so.
But when in doubt, ask. I mean, that's the only way to just be very direct, always confront issues head on. I mean, you're such a nice guy, what you see is what you get, and then just to use the word just supposing.
Hmm.
You know, you and I have been associated for how many years have you been with them? 10 years?
16.
16.
This time, 7 years ago.
Okay, we go back 16 years. I just got a couple of questions that aren't clear in my mind. So just supposing that I wasn't happy with what's going on, and I was the lead, what would you do? I mean, just ask directly, because we're trying to answer questions for a banker that isn't here. He's the only one that knows.
Yeah.
And why are you doing this? That was the other question that I heard. What's in it for the bank, somebody said. And you said, well, I don't really know. Well, most bankers seem to want to do one thing, make money. So, what's in it for them? Can I ask some really stupid questions? With 16 years, I don't really believe, why are you doing this? What's in it for you? Put it all on you that you're the problem, not them. I don't understand. I'm just confused. I just don't get it. Maybe you can help me.
Because you said on their statements, you guys were breaking even. Is that what you?
Barely.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, just play devil's advocate to a little bit, their break-even point is you.
Right.
So if you walk
It would be,
and they fill your shoes with someone who's compensated less, they now have a profitable business. I don't know how that,
fair point.
so that's,
Fair
just be
point.
careful where you go there.
Yeah. Did I hear you say the heir apparent might be more open-minded to this?
No, I think less.
Less, okay, so
Yeah.
So the time frame is 12
Now.
months,
before he
Less.
leaves?
or less.
Less,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
I think
That approach, yeah.
Joel's
Yeah.
comments are very valid, you gotta get a dialogue going, and for some reason it's stalled, so
Less-
encourage him to come into your office and have the chat, and
Yeah.
Less risky than an ultimatum.
You know, another way is to just put this meeting on the table. You know, I was at a meeting in Dallas and we had different things come up and I brought this up and they asked me some questions I didn't have the answers to.
Mm.
oh, that's not really good.
Yeah.
So I told them I would get back to you. So it's all your fault. If they throw him out, we'll have to subsidize you. Was it mainly food? Was it mainly?
Well, there's a few other things. That's just the quickest one.
Yeah,
Well, John left, so he's the food provider.
That's
right, yeah.
We can call him later, though, Russ, if need be, you know.
Any other questions or comments for Russ and Cheryl?
Keep us informed.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I would be really curious to see how this pans out, and I'm listening to your language and how you
Yeah.
presented that. Russ, I could see you or hear you actually using that language and it being natural, because I would guess you are not a
Because then what you're doing is
conversational
you're inquiring because somebody else asked.
yeah,
And you thought, well, that's a good question, I don't know.
it deflates it, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, it makes you not the bad guy,
exactly,
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
or the troublemaker.
yeah, for sure.
It's us.
Troublemaker.
Yeah, we're the
Yeah.
trouble.
We're the troublemakers, starting group.
And you could use actually my name if you want.
Use Brian.
Because everybody knows that's true. So, just confirm things.
Could be a mob thing. Hit you, Brian.
Yeah, who are yours?
Well, we definitely wish you the best in
Yeah.
that situation, and
Yeah.
try to remember through it all that there's purpose behind everything. I don't think everything happens for a reason, because I think there's a lot of bad stuff in this world, there's no reason for it, but there's purpose behind time. All right, well, we get to actually bring Mr. Sweet up here, and I'm gonna ask him some questions today. And you guys get to ask him some questions, you guys and gals. Joel, I need like a little laser that you zip at me. So what we thought is, when we looked at putting together the mastermind, we were really trying to vet for you what are some of the things that have happened to really help build our business, to be able to free Brian up, myself up, to be able to build other businesses, right? So, right? Do you understand? So what I did is I compiled some questions that I thought would be just interesting conversation starters. So again, this is a conversational thing, this is not presentational in nature. We want you guys to be able, guys and gals, to be able to engage, and ask questions as well. So I'm going to start this off, and Brian does not know these questions yet, just so you know.
Yeah, that's scary.
I'm going to start off because Mr. Pete shared his story, Phil shared his story. Brian, why don't you share your story?
Oh goodness, okay. Wow, that was so unexpected. So, when I was 3, my mom got divorced from a very abusive relationship. Even though I was 3, I remember being in a bathroom where I stood between my mom and my dad when he was going to hit her. So I've seen my dad one time. That was at his mother's funeral, which he left early at. And fortunately, I have not had any contact with him. So because of that, my mom's obviously had a great impact on my life, and she's given up lots of things to make what I needed happen. And so that's been very important, and to pay back, I created a foundation in her name, and we help kids that are single moms with kids going to college, finance their college education. It's in my mom's name. She's still alive. We get to meet the kids. It's kind of a fun deal. So she's had a great impact because she's given up immense amount to help me. And in addition to that, one of the interesting things that happened, I obviously had no relationship with my dad, nor did I want one. But his sister, his name is Gene, was married to a gentleman by the name of Roy. They were the Yeagers. And he owned an implement shop 17 miles away from Fairmont. For whatever reason, they maybe felt guilt, or I'm not sure what, but every summer I got to spend the summer staying with them, and I got to work at the implement shop, and then I got to go spend time with my grandmas, and just a great experience. And I learned some amazing skills from my aunt and uncle. My aunt, it was a principal school teacher, so she valued education, and she wanted me to go to this one, elite school. Didn't, but she encouraged me. So I think my desire to learn and get better came from her encouraging me when I was young, and so I thank her for that. Unfortunately, she just passed away this June, and that's very sad. But anyway, her husband Roy was a very successful business owner, and so he was this gregarious guy. Everybody loved Roy. I'll give you an example of just how crazy he was. But he would go into a restaurant, for example, he'd take me along, and he knew everybody in town, and he'd walk down the aisles to go sit in his booth, and he'd grab a French fry off this guy's plate, and go, maybe I'll have fries today, and then he'd grab this guy's burger, and he'd take a bite out of their burger. It was just like horrified as a kid. And
That's pretty good.
that's what. So when you're eating, just don't let me bite. But everybody loved him. He was a great business owner. He took great care of his team and his customers. I think that fed through me, and I learned those skills. So my story is kind of crafted because of those three people, and they've all had an amazing impact. And I would have not ever known that story, but we had somebody, Patrick Combs is his name, dig deep, and that came out. So I guess that's my story.
And I think part of the underlying lesson there too, and this is how it ties back to business. So when you think about your stories, it's part of the underlying thing that we take our clients through this experience is that life happens for you, not to you. Right? So you can't control the fact that his dad was not a great person, and that he grew up with a single mom, and all of that. But that happened for him.
Yeah, and I'll tell you just another thing, and so is, he never paid a dime of child support for my mom, ever. So I had no desire to see him, because to me, he was evil. And so you want to treat people with kindness, and I don't ever want to be anything or even associated with that kind of person, and why would you ever be that? But,
You need to choose.
yeah.
So what's one of the key things that has attributed to your success?
I would tell you a couple things. One is groups like this. I'm a learning mastermind conference junkie, but I want to get better, and I want to learn from people that are already where I want to be, and just going to things even outside the industry, Genius Network being one, opens your mind to possibilities. And if you have an open mind about what can happen, literally whatever you think is possible. Just live that. So I'm firm believer in that. So that's why I do these all the time, and it's just part of my being. And the more I do them, the better life gets. The other thing is I've hired quality people ahead of the time I probably needed them. And very conscious of only doing those things that I'm really good at and allowing the others, and Brittany's actually taught me a lot of this, and so I'm much better today because of Brittany, but give them their responsibilities and get out of their way. And it's amazing what people will do when you just allow them to and don't micromanage them. So I'd say those are a couple of things.
Yeah, he hired me 11 years ago and he's still not sure why. Still trying to figure it out.
That's a really good story behind how that was hired. So if anyone wants to hear that sometime, I'll tell you.
Could I interrupt?
Yes.
I'd like to say something while it's still fresh in everybody's mind. Let's just say that this was a gathering, a client acquisition event, and Brian was speaking up in Minnesota, some people that were gathered around, some clients and some people. And you know, you hear, because you've done well in business, you've been successful business owners, and one of the things that we advertise this meeting is to learn more about your financial well-being. And one of the questions should be, you know, who am I and why might I be a good fit for handling some of the things that you just don't know about. And really it has to do with who we meet and how we meet them. So just give you just a personal story. I was 3 years old when my dad left my mom. And I was raised by a single mom who had very little, but she devoted everything to me. That was a lesson I learned early, how important it is to be devoted to a cause and a purpose. That's what we built our practice on, being devoted to our clients. And then came an uncle and an aunt, Roy and Jean. Jean was just kind of almost like a second mother to me, but they had money. They had things we didn't have, and I got to spend summers with them. And I learned how important it was to have money. That money gave things that I didn't have because it was just my mom and I, and Dad never gave us a penny. So I learned the importance of not only the importance of money, but to protect money. And that's what we built our practice on. And then there's Roy. Roy was a character. I mean, if you went out to a restaurant, he knew everybody. He would actually eat off their plates. He would take French fries. He'd grab a hamburger and take a bite. And everybody loved Roy. What I learned from that was not how to get free food. But what I learned was if you have a relationship with people, they'll even give you the food off their plate. And that's one of the things that we've learned in our practice. To be loyal and devoted to our clients, to see the value of the money that you've made, and to be willing to give you the food off our plate. So if you choose to work with us, that's what you can expect.
So would you write that up for me to send? No, seriously, write that up for me to send.
I think
No, you don't need it. You're a client. You get this. You have time. You just, that's 3 minutes. That's 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's recorded.
That's true, it's recorded,
Yeah.
All right, but the purpose of me interrupting and redoing that is
Much more.
that story should change every time.
Based on who you're talking
who the audience is. So I said this was a client acquisition event with potential clients. If this was a team meeting, the same points could be made, but my devotion to you as members of our team. I want to be like my mom was to me for you. And the way you do all this is you accept the premise, and I know it's a crass way of saying it, no one cares about you. So what and who cares? It's not about Brian. It's about them. And if you think of your story, what does this have to do with whoever them is? Your team members, or potential clients, or existing clients. So if this was a client appreciation event, and Brian told that story, they are already clients experiencing this. And since I've been to dinner with many of you, I did make the premise that I learned the good things from Roy and not the bad, and I have not eaten off of any of your plates. That's such a great humorous thing. I mean, couldn't you see Roy going in there and taking food off plates?
Oh, it's embarrassing.
How many people like him? How many know somebody bigger than life,
Oh,
just the
absolutely.
life part?
Yeah.
And look at who he is. I mean, look how joyful and happy he is, but he doesn't eat off plates.
That was exceptional.
Yeah, that was
Exceptional.
awesome. Yeah.
Just blows my mind. Like, this is the kind of stuff with Joel. Like, he'll literally take something, you're just in conversation, he's like, here's how to make it even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So I think something, and this came to mind too, I was listening to you talk, Doug, and you're like, man, a vacation would be nice, and we've kind of talked about, Greg, time off and that, clearing your headspace. So Brian, you take 16 weeks off each year. So I think you should share how you manage to do that.
First of all, I scheduled it a year in advance. So you have to build your work calendar around your vacation calendar, if you will. And it's a concept that I learned from Dan Sullivan, been doing strategic coach, I'm actually another mastermind, for a long time. Free focus and buffer days. What's the most important? Free days. Because if you don't take 3 days, your mind gets all cluttered and cobbled up and you're just not at your best. So probably a really good idea to take some free days. Because the clearer you are in your vision and the path that you're on. And so I've just found the more time I take off, the better we do. And it forces you to deal with all the other things, but that's why I build a team. Is I was gone in Egypt for 2 weeks recently. I came back and I was caught up in 30 minutes. Gone 2 weeks, 30 minutes. And so it's just being very conscious of what you need to do and setting out the objectives to do that. So it's just really understanding what you want for your life and what you want your business to look like and working on it literally every day to get you there. And I've gotten a lot of help from a lot of people, but that's what you get when you're in masterminds and you're in other groups is, there's a concept from Dan Sullivan that says who versus how, instead of how do I do everything? Well, who can I talk to that can help me get that? Instead of trying to figure it out yourself. And that also been a monumental thought.
Brian, are those time blocks for that time off
Yep.
vary? Is it always 2 weeks, or is it sometimes a week, or 3 days, or?
It's fairly structured, like January, February, March, April, 2 weeks each. And then I take a week off a month.
Okay.
So if you do the math, that's
Yep.
16.
Tom, you're looking at old clients, January, February.
Are
So,
those for other businesses or just really fun traveling?
Fun.
Strictly fun.
so I'd be curious to know, for those of you that do have at least one support person, do you have anybody monitoring your emails? Rachel, you do for Phil? How are you guys set up, no? Tom?
Yes and no. Not on everything. Certain ones from Raymond James, I think, Jimmy said.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can have your email account shared,
Yeah.
so they actually can see your email account in addition to their own.
And I would say that the only reason I bring that up is that that's something, and Doug, even as you're sitting here looking at what is all the stuff, right? What's all the stuff that I need to figure out and navigate? We found through some of our coaching is that many business owners, financial advisors, they're not doing that. They're not doing that shared inbox. And so then you're vetting everything, right? You have to see everything that comes through. So that one simple step and having those rules to forward to certain people on your team, it's amazing at how free. So something so simple, you can take it and you could implement it in your business now.
Yeah, you do it as a shared, where like Cheryl will go in and see it, or is
Yeah.
it forward or also?
No,
It'll be a
shared.
separate folder.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Actually, a whole set of folders.
we could have a problem with that because we're on the banks, and so the bank email is an Outlook.
Different.
We use webmail for Raymond James. They don't want the banks email.
Can you see mine on webmail?
There's gotta be a way to do it.
Yeah.
I would think on webmail, you would probably still see it on there, James.
Probably.
Well, if you use Outlook, you use
Yeah.
Outlook?
Another
We
little,
use for the bank's email.
another little
They're
program I
really
use for email.
separate.
Automate
Friday,
Pro.
yeah.
Automate Pro, what is that?
Automate Pro is kind of like Outlook rules on steroids. So not only will it move things into folders, it will take attachments and save it off to a folder. It will forward an email recognized by the sender or the regarding and then delete itself.
What is it called?
Automate Pro,
That's awesome.
it does a lot of different things.
And it's a bolt on to Outlook.
Wow. Before I forget, when Brittany gave her presentation, it was mentioned, who's Keith Cunningham? That book is called The Road Less Stupid. Best business book I've read in literally years and years. And great tips on how to handle team and think about things. It's a great book. You don't, yeah.
The road less.
The Road Less Stupid.
So what Brian doesn't realize is I actually have a question here that says, what's the best book you've read?
That would be The Road Less Stupid.
So, and I would like to take this as a little pause moment since he anticipated my discussion, is the other thing that I was thinking about, Russ, for you and for Cheryl in this discussion. We got to hear last weekend Chris Voss, he was the top FBI negotiator, speak. And he wrote a book called Never Split the Difference. I think you going into this negotiation period, because really that's what it is with the bank, it would be very beneficial to you to read that.
Yes, 100%.
And Russ, because you're just such a nice guy, why don't I just order that for you and send it?
100%.
So it's gonna arrive at your office.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
we'll Amazon it today. Yeah, that's the thing.
Brian, do you know how to Amazon it?
No, I'm not doing
He said, did you hear we? Will
Amazon.
Amazon.
I'll ask her nicely.
Understand that
Let me go back to the email questions.
Yeah.
Who shares Brian's emails? Is it just you?
No, I do not. It's Callie, his personal assistant.
Okay.
She's been my assistant for 20, going on 5 years.
Yeah.
And how does she know what to do with all those different emails? I mean, is there a certain protocol of which ones, does she just divide them up and send them to the right people, or is that what goes on?
It takes some learning.
Yeah.
She has, I know initially, I don't know that she does this anymore because she just knows it. She had some cheat sheets that she'd make as to what goes where. Plus, with a lot that comes through, it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, we know we have a dedicated concierge or client service manager, so anything related to that, form things, whatever, we actually have the branch box. I'm trying to think of what the name is, but where like you get like a form reject or whatever. We have our concierge director just gets those. So really, there's hardly any forwarding with anything Raymond James because we put people on those boxes as it's appropriate within the company. And then client things, we have, a tiered structure, so we just know who it goes to. So she literally spends, it's a time-consuming process because email is time-consuming, but she's got it like the back of her hand now.
Yeah, and then the only thing I do is if I want to personally respond, I have a little squiggly that I put in the email text box, and then it'll come back just to me. Otherwise, all the emails go to her, and then you can just create this little thing where, if there's a specific thing where you actually want to handle it, you can add this little, and it can be whatever you want, but that's the only emails I get. And then I don't answer any voicemails. All the investment questions don't go to me.
So what do you do, Brian?
Goes on vacation.
So along those lines, let's talk delegation. If you could give one piece of advice to become an exceptional delegator, because you're one person who has delegated a lot of aspects of your life, what is one piece of advice you could provide?
Hire great people and get out of their way.
Yeah.
And I wasn't always like that. and you'll attest to that. I mean, I'm a somewhat of a control freak because I like things done, certain ways. But I have learned with Brittany's help that when I clearly explain what it looks like if it's done correctly, and they know what that looks like, and then I just get out of their hair, they're empowered, and they actually want to try and figure things out and do better. I mean, it's really amazing. Like I said, I've gone 2 weeks and I had 30 minutes and I was back up to speed.
So along those lines, Cameron Harrell, he has a really interesting story that he shares in creating a vivid vision. And really what it boils down to is it's just what Brian said about painting that clear picture for your team, because that's often where the communication gaps happen. Because you've got it in your head and you're excited, you're like, this is what I need done, right? So delegation. You're trying to delegate something and you don't paint the clear picture. So Cameron goes through and he's like, okay, in the room, who has not seen the movie The Sound of Music? And you get a couple people that'll raise their hand. And he's like, okay, where's the setting? Is it the beach, the mountains, or the lake? And they give an answer. Okay, what were they doing? Were they playing cricket? Were they playing a guitar? Or were they doing whatever? So he goes through this whole drill down, and these people are answering, and at the end of it, they're totally missing the plot, right? It's just ridiculous. He's like, that's the problem. You've never seen the movie, so I can't expect you to know the main plot. So I think he just gives a great example to that. That's exactly what happens in delegation. Like, well, this is what I want you to do, and what they're receiving and what you're sending are two totally different things. So be intentional about closing that gap.
Yeah, impact filter tool we use a lot.
Yeah, and that's what we use
That's
to
exactly.
explain it, yeah.
So Dan Sullivan tool for
Yeah.
delegation is the success criteria. What will the completed task look like? What will be true success-wise? And it's that way. It's
Called impact picture?
Impact filter.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you have a tool in some of the resources that I sent you. You guys have that.
Got it, great,
Yeah.
thanks.
And the other thing I will tell you is don't look at hiring someone as an expense. It is absolutely an investment in your business. Because if you think about that differently, if you take the time and you use it productively for your unique abilities, you're gonna pay somebody, $30 an hour. What is your time worth doing what you're good at? 500 an hour? You guys are good at math and gals. And so think of it that way. Joel?
Could I go back to one question?
Yeah.
How many, forget who you now have, especially you two, with your assistant and second command, how many would want somebody like Brittany to help you? Okay. So how old were you when he hired you?
I was 22.
All right, what did you see in her at 22
Good question.
that got you to put her on a team? Now we're looking back
That's a great question.
at what she's become.
Yeah.
What did you see?
Well, that's a good story. I'll set the precedence because to a certain extent I didn't see it at first. So Brittany was one of our client service people, and the person that was running my office was moving out of town. So I hired this individual to do research and get people, and it got to the extent where we weren't getting anybody, and we started offering a Mercedes of your choice just to see if it attract people. And being in a little town of 10,000, it's not necessarily the hotspot of the world to live. And the consultant finally looks at me and said, I know you're trying to get somebody from outside, but if I were you, I'd hire her. Absolutely never saw it. But once I empowered her to do that, it's been a very fun journey. She is one, and this is I would look for this in any person. But the reason Brittany's as good as Brittany is good is we have growth things. I'm a real growth oriented for every team member. But one thing I will tell you about Brittany, and I can't tell you this probably of any other team member, but anything I've ever told her that she should do to get better, she's done every single one of them. And so it's been a growth process together. She's got big goals, she thinks big, and I've learned this since I maybe hopefully have expanded it and gotten you to think. But part of it's just training and growing together. But I think what you want to find is somebody that really wants to get better and is willing to do the things that you suggest to get better. I don't know if you'd add anything to that, but
Yeah, so this actually goes back to part of my presentation, is that Brian actually, when I first started, he's not the one that hired me. He was there, right? I met him, but he was not the one that did that interview. But it's because, like Brian is full self-admission, he maybe is not the best at hiring, right? So he actually appointed other people. And I think when I look at hiring and the team members that we've created, because we have a team of fabulous people. I mean, people that truly care. The characteristics that I look for, I want people that have empathy. I want people that they are willing to go the extra mile. And I ask them to demonstrate examples of that in the interview. So the way that I position questions to them, I ask weird questions in interviews. I mean, there's one question I ask, I'm like, if I were to, and maybe, I don't know, any HR or law people here, maybe I'm totally breaking a rule.
I'll
But
let you know.
I ask you a question and I'll say, hey, if I were to walk into your bedroom right now, what would I see? And sometimes I get this dumbfounded look, but what I'm looking for here is I'm not gonna hire somebody that tells me chaos, right? There's clothes all over the floor, my bed's definitely not made, I've got stacks of things everywhere. I'm looking for, like, what is your life? How do you organize? Like, what are you doing, right? I want people that have that.
So if I'm a man asking a woman, I might just say your house. I wouldn't say your bedroom.
Thank you for let's say this politically correct. Yeah.
He's on the HR side.
Yeah.
But no, I ask questions. I'll have them talk about situations where, how have you helped somebody who's been struggling in the past?
Let me ask you this question. You said, whatever I asked you to do to get better, you did. What were some of those things that you asked her to do in terms of her development and training or whatever?
Good question.
well,
Yeah, so I'll
you probably can listen faster than I could.
Yeah, so I'll just maybe put like a cap around the whole thing is, a lot of what he does with me is he'll challenge me. So he'll see a strength, like speaking, for example. He's like, Brittany, you need to do, and this is, okay, let me just back up a minute. At the Genius Network, we talked about how they do 10-minute talks. It's intense because you're not in front of, like, it's already intense enough. You get up and speak in front of clients. I mean, the pressure's on. You're trying to make money, right? Like, that's the goal. You get up and you speak in front of a room that are not just your peers, but there are people that are 10, 100, 1,000 times more successful in business than you have been to this point. It is stinking intimidating, right? So one of the things Brian challenged me to is he's like, Brittany, you need to do a 10-minute talk. I think you have a skill set in here. I really think you need to do it. You have a message that you should get out. So I did it. I committed to it. I went through training with Joel. Joel gave me the structure and the confidence. And I just executed. I'm like, what's the worst that's going to happen? That's what I ask myself anytime I'm going into, and I think this is something for yourself. I firmly believe, even, they say this in business, if you're not growing, you're dying. You've all heard that term. But I believe that as a person too. If I'm not challenging myself and I'm not accepting that bar, that next level, then I feel like I'm going backwards. And those are the kind of things I think a testament to the question is you're looking for people that have that. So maybe even in the interview process, you're challenging them to something. Ask them a question that makes them really uncomfortable. That's why I love what Keith Cunningham said, we talked about is, what are the 3 things you're gonna implement immediately? You don't know anything about the business. 9 times out of 10, actually 10 times out of 10, we really don't hire people that come from the financial services world. They don't know what the heck we do. They've read our website.
Yeah, and that's on purpose because I don't want somebody's bad habits coming into the firm. I want to teach them the sweet financial way.
There you go.
The other thing I wanna add that I think you could apply immediately in your business, I think that everybody suffers from, financial advisors a lot for some reason, is confidence in how much you're worth. So that's one thing Brian has challenged me because he struggled with it too, right? The first, what do we do? Like this, and I think this is interesting. So I sit down and you're with financial advisors, we've done this with some of the people we've coached, and they'll sit in front of a client and you start talking about fees, and all of a sudden they're talking about discounting the fee of the person hasn't even asked for a discount. right? You talk yourself out of a sale because you just get that guard, like, oh gosh, maybe maybe they don't want to pay. No, be confident in it. So when we talked yesterday, Brian gave the example of what my coaching fee was how many years ago and what it is now. I was scared to death to present that. Dre actually referred this gentleman to me. And I called Dre and I was like, what the heck am I supposed to say to this guy, right? He's like, Brittany, you're awesome at this. You just own it. Here's what I suggest. He threw out a couple ideas to me and he was like, hey, so the beauty of it is I have Brian in the back of my head over here, like, charge your worth. You are worth a lot. I have Dre over here that's like reaffirming that. I presented the offer. I said, there's 3 ways to work with me. Total truth. This is what I can deliver to you. Total truth. And here's what it's worth. And the guy was like, I'll take the top offer. Right? So having that confidence and having other people around you and being that to your team members too. I think that's important. And that's
Part of
what,
that is stepping into that uncomfortability,
Yeah.
and that's really.
You wanna
Yeah.
get comfortable
Being
being uncomfortable.
yeah.
Can I just follow up on Tom, because he asked, what specifically did you ask? Did you ask her to read a book? Did you ask her to take a course that you started to see that she would do whatever it took to improve herself, which would improve her ability?
Yeah, I think back then, I mean, it's been a while, so I didn't, I guess, write these all down, but it definitely books, because we have a lot of books that we have a quarterly book for the whole team. Brittany and I read lots of books together, and so that would obviously be that. I mean, it's hundreds of books. So, can you think
Yeah, I
of
would
anything
say-
else that might?
Like if you're looking for like more of the specific.
Well, like, what did you say, you should go start GD coach?
Yes, that's a great one,
Yeah.
yes. He said, strategic coach, I want you to go through team tools. Okay, I'm all in. And then it went from team tools to their master, or their team leader program, and then into their master's program. So yes, Genius Network. That's been a catalyst. I mean, I don't know, we've mentioned Joe Polish and Genius Network 20 times in this, because it has been the catalyst that has changed both of our lives in a really positive way. Dre too. Joel, Joel, you're a testament to that too. Joe's group has changed our lives. So it's those things, and it's taking that step to Joel.
Yeah, but once again, it's and this isn't really answering your question, but this is the power of having your implementer go with you to things, okay? So I bring Brittany, and have for years, to things, and then they get exposed to it, and I don't know what it is, but it just helps grow things that much quicker, because they get what you saw. And you can't go back after a meeting and explain what it is that you liked and saw, like experienced it themselves. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
And so that's why I'm saying, I think I'm gonna change the rules on the mastermind, and you can't come unless you bring your implementer, because I want you to get some results. And I know the way you're gonna get results is having the person who's actually gonna do the work sit here at the class. So I
Is
would,
she a chief operating officer? I mean, is that,
Brittany?
I mean, what's an implementer versus a COO or?
Yeah, so I think in our business, well, in any business, I think a title and a position is whatever you want it to be.
Well, I'm thinking of them.
Yeah,
Well,
so, yes.
What are they looking for? I mean, they all raise their hand that they all want you. So you understand, Brian, they're all gonna offer a job. Lunch is over, no.
They don't need to, because you can be part of our mastermind.
Oh.
And then I'm really cheap,
Well played.
right?
All right, but let me ask you, show of hands again. How many of you would like to have, if he could clone her, how many would put that person as their implementer right away? My hand's up. You know,
Well, I'm not raising my hand.
Trying some dental care.
She's holding on to your hand. You better not raise your hand.
Yes, so I see what you're saying is this, you definitely want, and I think this all ties together with what Brian has said though too, is you want somebody that can be with you on the journey. right? And you need somebody that you can completely trust, that has your back, you have theirs, right? And you want that COO type position. Yeah, that's technically my title. Sometimes I'm a director, sometimes I'm whatever. I'm navigating more out of that role, but having somebody to be able to, and actually, you know what I would recommend, is having somebody that has had different positions in your company navigate into that role. Because there's stuff like with my team, and this is how I've built, I believe, a killer culture, is there's nothing on my team that I haven't had some sort of experience with. I mean, I've sat in and covered for, well, except for Oliver, because Oliver has a brain that I don't think any of us can touch. But I've covered just about any role in the office, just because I've been there for so long, and I believe in getting my hands dirty and understanding their point of view. So then, what happens, and this is where the integrator and visionary role can get really solid, is that I can go to Brian and I have a full understanding of what is going on behind the scenes. So if he's a little edgy on something, I can say, no, Brian, this is actually really how it is, and this is what's really going on. You guys, as the business owner, as the entrepreneur, you have a disconnect. There's a certain disconnect that happens, and that's a good thing over time. But there's that gap that has to be closed, and that's what the COO position is. That's what I would view the COO position to be. Somebody who can run your company, somebody who can make decisions for you. If Brian got hit by a bus and there was nobody to make decisions, I know what he wants. I know what his vision is, and I can speak on behalf of him. Probably even more so than the other owners,
I would 100% agree with
right?
that.
Because I've had so much time with
Yeah,
him.
we spend a lot of time.
Are you an owner in the firm now?
Going to be.
And
Just putting you on the hot seat there.
No, we already talked about it. There was some issues with RJ and how you could do it, and now there's a certain structure that just before we came here, and I committed to her, so she needs to be an owner, because, you know, we couldn't have done it without her, so.
Are you licensed at this point?
no,
But she doesn't
and I
need-
know
Yeah,
desires.
and that was part of the issue, they said that you had to, and now you don't have to. Yeah, so I haven't even looked into it yet.
Oh,
but-
now you just get Rachel and Howard.
I just want to say. Yeah.
There you go.
And you are just, you know,
We're killing
helping
you.
so much, Brian.
You used to like me, right?
Yeah,
Now
I
it's
still love
no
it.
question.
Russ, what are you gonna say?
Well, I was just saying, this is the first event that I've come to that I've brought Cheryl. I've gone to the range and stuff.
Yeah.
She's gone
I've
to
gone.
things.
Been worth your time, Cheryl?
Do I? Yes.
Has it been worth your time?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm not, don't know if I'm looking forward to the drive home because.
Yeah.
But this is the first, and I just told her, I said, I'm not going to leave here unless you're going to.
Mm.
So there's no reason for us to not.
Good
We've
for
never
you. Good for you. That's a
actually,
great-
and it's just the two of us, we've never, other than the time that I was out and she got sick, we have never shut our office down for Salvador City.
And compliments for you doing that.
And this is the first time we've done it.
Wow.
Good for you, Russ.
It's tough.
Yeah. So I think really the biggest question here is, where's my Mercedes? Right? I think I missed
All
something.
right, well, I guess we'll get that.
Yeah. So, let's do this. What do you say to people who want to get to the next level in their business?
I would tell you it's absolutely possible. You just have to understand what it looks like, be very clear, and I would tell you, you want to be a sponge to it. So we have our vivid vision, we jazzed it up. Look, I read that every single day. I'm laser focused on what my business looks like. And what happens is when you're really clear, all the things that need to happen for you to get there somehow pop up. I have no idea, but they show up. And it's just like, boy, they had that meeting. How did they know I was looking for? It happens all the time. But you have to be clear. You can't be wishy-washy and my vision's different, because then you don't know what to accept for data.
Awesome. What didn't I ask you that I should have?
It's a good interview question.
Boxes or briefs?
TMI.
Yeah, we shared a lot, but that's not one. Yeah, good point.
You just want to want.
Yeah.
Where's the HR person?
Yeah, don't ask that question.
I guess I would just challenge you to try to be the best of who you can be. And it's a fun journey. Look at it as a journey and have fun with it. And I would also say, maybe don't look at, I need to be there in a month or 6 months, maybe look at it a little bit longer. And like Dan Sullivan, you know, he looks at it in 25-year increments, and he says, what do I need to do every 90 days to get to where I want to be in 25 years? And it's just little itty bitty pieces, and it doesn't seem overwhelming. You know, so that might be a helpful thing. I've been doing it, this is my 41st year. I think I started when I was 6. I wish I would have got there sooner, but I like where we're at, but it's exactly what I had in here and I'd written down. And then the next layers that Brittany and I are working on are just amazing. I've never been more excited about the industry and all the other things that I'm doing than I am right now. And I have more free time, I'm more jazzed up, I'm more everything, but I'm busier and I got more things going on than I ever had. So it's weird, but.
So the things that you're doing now,
Yes.
the various activities,
Yeah.
how far back were you first starting to think about some of those things? Was it 25 years ago?
Business, the sweet financial stuff, probably 25 years ago. I will tell you the Genius Network, because it's not financial advisors.
Right.
It's, you know, all sorts of industries. Just absolutely has exploded opportunity. So their dream that her and I created came after Genius Network. EWAS, our Elite Wealth Advisor Symposium, came after Genius. Her creating More Than a Mom platform, or helping her build that, came after Genius. What else we got going on? You know, doing this little thing with Mitch and the leadership came after Genius.
Well, look at, I mean, meeting Joel, meeting Dre. I mean,
Yeah.
we're business partners with Dre. Joel does all of our speaking,
Yeah.
coaching. I mean, it's a catalyst.
Yeah, and it's a big world, and you don't know what's out there until you go explore it. And there's some pretty cool people that know some really amazing things, and you'll get exposed to them if you go out and explore. I think the financial advisor world, to a certain extent, can get a little stagnant. And so if you get that group think, you're not going to grow. And so that's way out of bounds for, you know, it's a marketing group kind of, but it's just got me introduced to some amazing people, and then all these things just popped up, and they're just amazing and fun, and we're doing all these other things, but our financial business has never been better, and all of the things we're doing actually funnel back into Sweet Financial. That's, you know, but the ideas come from just other people. So I really can't take any credit, it's just that I'm actually doing something about it when I get the idea.
But you've really created your own Genius Network here. That's what I'm saying, that you're giving them all of the benefits, but you're laser focusing on financial services as a financial advisor. So, you know, they don't need a Genius Network, you are their Genius Network.
Okay.
I mean, that's
Thank you.
That's what I'm seeing sitting here,
Okay.
but this is so much more specialized, because everybody has the same language here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I truly, you know, I've been blessed, and life is, you know, I mean, whatever, it's amazing. But I truly love, I meet some nice people, and we only do this for people we like. You know, there's some not so nice people, and I don't spend any time with them. But for the truly nice people, I really thoroughly enjoy helping somebody, because I've had lots of people help me. I don't forget that. So I want to pay it forward. This is somehow we're paying it forward, because I get really a lot of enjoyment. So Russ, you accomplish that, you get an independent, I'm gonna feel fantastic. I mean, not as good as you, but that's gonna mean a lot to me. If I can help you get independent. We've known each other a long time, you're a great guy. I want you to succeed and grow, and I just, so I know that's just kind of me, but this is a way of me sharing and.
It makes me think of, and I wish I could remember who actually said this, I did not make this up myself, but it's help enough other people get what they want, and
Zig
you'll get
Ziglar.
what you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I think that's something to live by. So when you go to meetings like this, you go to other conferences, whatever it is, do not go into it, even with your team. What can I get out of them? What can I bring back? What can I take, right? We're wired to do that. But go into it with what value can I provide?
Yeah, you get what you give. So I'm in a study group, and the name of the study group is Give and Grow. We had 11 guys, we now have 5. 6 didn't give. 6 aren't there.
Yeah, so I think just owning that in everything you do.
What was the single most successful client acquisition strategy for your career, Brian?
Just taking very good care of people. We are very fortunate, we get to work with a billionaire family that started out with, had some IRAs and some little things, and just kept helping them, and they brought a problem, we'd be the solution. They work with lots of other advisors, but we have hundreds of millions of dollars with them. And at first they didn't think, little old Fairmont, that we could deliver, but every time they asked, our service was like this. We delivered faster than any of the big wirehouses. We present ideas, we introduce them to people. Now we're the go-to people just because we were proactive and kept taking care of them and delivering great service. Because to me, money management is a commodity and it's a solution to getting to your dreams. But all the other stuff is more important, and that's what we focus on. So it's just taking really good care of them, understanding what's important, and trying to be a part of how to help them get there.
So most of your growth came from client referrals?
Yeah.
And until we met Dre and got working on that, 100% of our business was referrals. Now it's obviously like a regular portfolio, it's a lot more diversified, but yeah.
So a good book, just along those lines of what you asked about growing business and how you do it, take good care of people. The Outward Mindset from the Arbinger Institute.
Yeah.
It's a really good book, and it's just about anticipating people's needs. So that's an exceptional one, and really I would have your team members read it too.
Yeah. Great one for your team.
Since Brian likes quotes, I'll share a quote. Anybody ever hear of Walt Disney?
No.
He had this little company called Disneyland in
Really?
1955. And they went bankrupt a number of times, and when they finally built Disneyland, his team got together, they were about to open, and somebody said, "So how are we gonna sell this thing? I mean, what's our marketing plan? How are we gonna pack the pack and pack the park?" And he said, "This is it." And he gave them this sentence: "Do what you do so well that when people see what it is you do, they want to see you do it again, and will bring others with them to show them what you do." And if we do that, we will be successful. And I think if we look at American businesses, what's happened with the Disney enterprise long after Walt is gone, but that was really the foundation of it. So do what you do so well as a financial advisor, that when your clients see what it is you do, they want to have you keep doing it for them, and will tell others about what it is you do, and they'll actually bring them to you to show them what it is you do. And it sure seems like, from my 3 years knowing Brian, that's what he does. And that's how you built your practice to be so successful with this billionaire family. You showed them by example. And that's not marketing, that's not advertising, that's results. And I think that's what you built it on. And if everybody did that, I mean, it sounds so basically trite in this world of marketing. How do you have a great restaurant? Treat everybody great, have great food, wonderful service, and they'll come back and they'll bring others with them. And that's what Walt said, and it still happens today in 2019. So think of that statement for your mission board.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I don't think I could say anything better than what Joel just said. So we are gonna have, you guys go through an exercise during lunch, so we'll break here in just a second. I just wanna set this up so that if you do want to go spread out again, you can, but I just want you to be working through this exercise while you do that. So this is the hourglass. It's a front and back. And basically the premise of this is, out of the last couple days, you've got a million different ideas. Things that you could execute on, you could implement on, but really what the goal of this is write down your 10 best ideas and let's funnel it, right? Jot down your 10 best ideas, choose 3 of those that you actually want to act on that are gonna move the needle the most in your business, in your personal life, whatever that big takeaway is, and then choose your 1 to focus on, right? The 1 that is going to happen that you're gonna set a hard deadline to, that you are actually going to take back and put into action in your company. So now we're gonna go down the hourglass, right? So you're gonna look at this and say, what are the 2 ways that can get me there? So part of this is, Russ, your big 1.
I like that, do the other 10, or it's right from 1?
Excuse me, we're gonna have to.
Yeah, no, I understand, yeah.
So I was
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil and Rachel.
Safe travels. Rachel, good to see you again. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Nice to meet you guys.
Thank
Great
you.
to meet you. Good luck.
So you'll go the 2 ways to get there. So if you have 1 thing that you want to implement, what are 2 ways that can make that happen? And then you actually put those ideas into action. That's where, like we talked about with the impact filter from Strategic Coach, similar to, it's the success criteria. It's the steps to get you there. So that's what I would like everybody to work through during lunch. Feel free to spread out, break out, do your thing, but we're gonna come back and we'll have a quick recap of this tool after lunch.
Okay, cool. It's gonna be tough to narrow it down.
And there's lunch in here.
You're not really good there.
Okay, lunch is in there.
Same spot.
Same spot, yeah.
So much for
I
that.
can see how you can take them.
How you said that, I was just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, I don't, I haven't, you know, I know the story, I just haven't.
We should be done a little bit after lunch, so
Oh, wow.
it's like my dog was set up.
Yeah. You guys are awesome.
I guess.
What's the matter here?
Moral support in this one. But yeah, that's gonna really set you apart, actually. I would think, because you can do more than what the average is.
Why run my own marketing?
Exactly. Exactly.
We're like, bitch, that was the problem.
Yeah. You better stay in touch with me, because I want to, like, yeah. Because I was gonna say the last time, I was like, Sam, don't live in Dallas, because me and you were so similar, like, with how we, yeah, we would probably get along super tight.
Never met anyone.
If I make it $10,000.